I was speaking before about how Abraham allowed his wife Sarah to be taken into Pharaoh's household. He said, I took her to me as a wife. Also, Isaac, Abraham's son Isaac, he did the same thing with Abimelech from the Philistines. Told his wife Rebecca, say that you're my sister, otherwise they'll kill me. And in that case, God says explicitly that he would not allow Abimelech to touch her. And God came to him in a dream and he said, take your wife and go. Now we hear about Abraham having 3 partners by which he had children. Sarah, Hagar, and Keturah. Also we hear of Jacob having 4 wives and concubines, 4 women that he had children by, and which came 12 tribes of Israel. But you never hear of a woman having a string of men, one or more husbands. It just doesn't make sense. Something just says, and that's not right, because God made man the head of the woman. And when it says in the Bible about a woman remarrying, this is something that almost all churches have wrong. Probably because they're listening to the woman like Adam did instead of listening to God and His commandments. I'll read in 1 Corinthians. This first instance here is 7th chapter. Verse 39 says, the wife is bound by the law as long as her husband lives. But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. Doesn't say that if her husband commits fornication, then she can divorce him. No. In fact, a husband would have 2 or more wives. How could you say he's fornicating? You could say that, but no, that's not the case. See, in verse 9, verse 10 of chapter 7 says, and unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband. But if she depart, let her remain unmarried. Remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband. Let not the husband put away his wife. So the woman is to remain unmarried. She's not supposed to go get another husband unless her husband's dead. That's what the Holy Bible teaches, and yet all churches, except for maybe the Catholic Church, they have a more sanctity on marriage, and they look down on divorce heavily. But all these religions, even the Jehovah's Witnesses, who claim that they are the faithful and discreet slave, I've known people in that organization, women that have been married 3 times and going on their 4th because they say their husband committed fornication. And if you don't agree with everything they say, they won't talk to you. They'll treat you like you're a dead person. I studied with Jehovah's Witnesses, the first people that I studied with to learn about the Bible. I didn't dedicate my life to them. I didn't bow down to them. I bowed down to Jesus Christ and to His Father. And the way they treat people that will not bow down to them, even though they're in error, even until this present day. They want to tell you that you're disapproved of God if you do not bow down to join their group. This is what the Bible teaches, Let's take a look at 1 Corinthians 14, verse 34. Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak. They are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for a woman to speak in the church. But they all do. What, came the word of God out from you? You think you can change that? Or came it unto you only? If any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, let him acknowledge that the things that I write unto you are the commandments of the Lord. But if any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant. Wherefore, brethren, covet to prophesy and forbid not to speak with tongues, that all things be done decently and in order. So just as Adam was swayed by his wife Eve to disobey the commandments of the Lord, so we see it happening today. And all kinds of wickedness springs forth because of it. And they'll judge people wrongly, and yet allow their women to commit adultery freely in their churches. They got everything so twisted sometimes, What does it mean to know God? Let's take a look at Isaiah 11. What does it really mean to know God? It means to keep His commandments. And what? His commandments are not burdensome. They're good for us. They're love. When things aren't right, it's because people aren't obeying His commandments. Let's take a look at Isaiah 11, verse 6. It says, talking about the reign of Jesus Christ. Verse 4, it says, but with righteousness she shall judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall slay the wicked. Righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. You see this picture? And the cow and the bear shall feed. Their young ones shall lie down together. And the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the sucking child shall play upon the hole of the asp, snake. And the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. You see, the fruitage of the commandments of God and the Spirit of God is to do no harm, is to love. Love your neighbor. That's what God's law is love. It says right there. Why are they going to do no harm in all the earth? No harm whatsoever, because the knowledge of God is going to fill the earth as the waters cover the sea. You see? And those that try to make trouble and try to be hurtful to others, see, we're supposed to be kind to one another and loving to one another, even to give our lives for each other. Not when you're an elderly person who's old, put them away in a nursing home to be mistreated and to be around unloving people. But Christians are supposed to take care of each other. We don't treat each other with meanness and unkindness. What a wonderful life we can live if we're treated with kindness and with love and appreciation. Some people just aren't capable of that. You've probably seen people. We're trying to get a little bit of kindness out of them. It's trying to get water out of a stone. It's pretty much impossible. And the reason is because they haven't been chastised by God. They haven't been taught by God. They haven't been afflicted. You know how it says in Hebrews that everyone that he receives as a son, he chastises them that they might bring forth more fruit. Like Jesus said about the vine, my Father prunes the branches that they might bring forth more fruit. That's what it's all about. You see, in Psalms 119 and verse 6 and 7, the psalmist says, before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now have I kept thy word. Thou art good, and thou doest good. Teach me thy statutes. The word of God is good. And when God afflicts us, he helps us to readjust us. It's painful. It hurts. It's grievous to our souls. Have you ever experienced a depression? A dark depression? It's so grievous. And yet that is a chastisement for us to clean our souls out and to be pure and to love one another. This world's going to end because they're at each other's throats. They don't know how to treat each other. What a wonderful world it is when we love each other, when we don't have to worry about being mistreated. See, even when we're old, we know we're in good hands. That's the kind of world we want to live in. That's the kind of world God promises us. And people think, well, why does God allow all of this to go on for so long? It's because our lives are not that long. 70 or 80 years? If we make it that long? That's a short time. It's not like somebody has had to suffer for 2,000 years, but we all have just had a taste of the suffering of this world, waiting for the glorious freedom of the sons of God. That's what we're waiting for. But we taste this ugliness that sin has born into our world, into our lives. The devil has brought into the earth. And we suffer that. And we learn from that. And we're chastised by that. So let's understand that when God chastises us, it's not because he wants to kill us. He hates us. He wants us to live. He wants us to live forever. And he wants us to be kind, every one of us, to another. And don't be unkind to anyone. They say, well, they deserve it. We deserve to ridicule them and to everything and hate them. No. Because God doesn't hate anyone, you see. That's why he tells us to love our enemies, pray for them. We don't hate them. We don't shun them. We don't kick them out. If they're Christian, you see, if God is dealing with them as with sons, how can we reject them? Because we obey a man that is presumptuous and claiming that he speaks for God when he doesn't? Oh, it's so sinful what they do. And God's their judge. We're not their judge. God is their judge. So we let God judge them.